teenage boy who finds himself recruited as a member of an elite team of pilots by his father. And it's, yeah, it's that. And when you read that, it sounds like one of the typical like boy gets into robot time shows, and you would be very disappointed if that's what you were going in with.
Yeah, it's sort of set up to be a standard mecha anime, like Gundam or any of the others, but it's not. I mean, the main thing, Shinji, the main character, he reacts kind of in a pretty authentic way, in that when he's brought into the situation where his dad says, who like abandoned him, says you need to pilot this robot to save the human race, he's like, I don't know how to pilot this robot. I can't do it. And he has a freak out because he's 14 years old and put the weight of the world on his shoulders after like not talking to him for his whole life.
Shinji Ikari, you will be the pilot.
But that's crazy! Why are you doing this? You never wanted me here before. Why now?
It would be impossible for anyone else.
No, it just won't work.
But in Mecha, the first episode is always the like dramatic start to the thing where the kid is like excited about it, where what they're doing now is like they're bored and they don't want to do it, and then all of a sudden this robot sort of happens upon them that's always related to their dad. Their dad is always related to making the robot or doing something with the robot. And then they have to pilot it, and for some reason they're the special one who knows how to pilot it. In the original Gundam, I think the main character, if I remember correctly, was just he studied all his dad's notes, and it was this prototype thing. So when the Martians came to attack, he could get into the robot and go join the war, and he's really excited about it. In Eureka 7, the robot just crashes into his house, and the main character has to get in the robot and save the day. And in Gurren Lagann, he finds the key to the robot, then he finds the robot itself, and then he's the only one who can do it because he's the pilot of it. And it's always like they're always more motivated to join the fight than a 14-year-old realistically would be. It was Shinji's like apprehension really resonated with me, because it's like that felt real. It felt like this is. Like, I understand that this is the way a person would act. And if you're going into it with that like escapism in mind of like, I just want to see someone do a big robot punch, that's not going to really be there.
There are
maybe
some
episode
pretty cool
2, because it actually
punches,
has the robot fight. It has some of the animation in Evangelion is when it's good, it's very, very good. And yeah. That's the thing. Episode 2, you have the big robot fight. Episode 1, no robot fights.
Yeah, I'll tell you, that synchronized attack is still my favorite. Like when they're doing like friggin' backflips in their Avas, and they're like,
yeah. Or
when they like team up and they do their like, get out of here, so cool. Like Ray's coming in with a shield, like, I got you, and I was like, oh my god, leave the laser. It's like, it does have that like suspense and everything. But I think it's funny thinking of like, oh, you're the only one who can pilot this robot. Like, you get in it, and it's like, it's stressful and exciting, and there's like action and stuff. And then there's like Evangelion, which is like, you get in the robot, and like, spoilers for this show that's been around for a long time.
Super old show.
This robot is your mom's soul. Okay, so like, to really just get into like the horror of it, it's like your mom is gone, or a firmer version of you is gone, and you are in her soul liquid, her LCL juice, and you're the only one who can pilot it because it's your mom. Mm-hmm. Like, that's cool, and you have to be and I love it's like they're like, it has to be these kids, and it's never like explained why they have to be kids. Like, it's like, I get it because they're moms and stuff, but it's always just like, it's something these kids.
Just hit me. That's super sad. Is that they were able to pull from all the kids in that class, which means every single one of those kids doesn't have a mom or dad. Like, they killed their parent for the possibility of becoming this robot.
Yeah, they're all in this. They all have something is being held so that they could easily
orphaned
do that.
so many children.
Yeah. You know what's
Oh my
interesting?
God.
It's interesting because, like, in anime, a lot of the times parents are just, like, kind of just, like, out of the picture. Like, they're just not around and you just don't, like, question it. Same with, like, a lot of cartoons. But this one, it's, like, it's kind of scary when you're, you're like, where did the parents go? And the ones that are around
the
are
robots.
trash. Yeah, they're here, suck real hard. Yeah, I think, so, like, in the show, what it is that, you know, Shinji, Asuka, and Rei are pilots of Evangelions, which are kind of like, they're like robots. They're not robots, but they're like robots. Like I said, full of the souls of their mothers. And they have to fight angels, which are these aliens, creatures that take on they're all different looking, they're all have different powers and things that they do, but only these Evangelions can properly fight them. And we see that a few times where they try to use traditional weapons like bombs or like guns and all kinds of stuff. It just like does not like, you gotta fight fire with fire, and you don't got the fire unless it's this robot mom. And so so these kids have to do this, right? And it's like, the kids are just kids. They're like, yeah, this is what I gotta do. And they all have their reasons. But even the adults all have, you know, real personal reasons for being invested. Some of it just being the fact that, you know, there was what is called the second impact, which happened before the show starts, like quite a while before the show starts, but is the reason why there's no other seasons. It's just summer all the time. Why certain certain species are missing. Like, it was an apocalyptic event that changed the world. Like, the population is significantly dwindled. We got Tokyo 3, and now we're up against angel aliens. You know, like, it's pretty bleak, and it's never not bleak. It's never like, once we fight these angels, it's done. Like, that you never really feel like there's an end that would be good. Like, it's inevitable. But I think another thing that really sticks out with this show versus other anime is the women that are in it. Because, you know, Kat and I are often talking about how women are portrayed in media. And I, like, from the beginning, I mean, there are, like, uncomfortable tropes that happen, and it's definitely a product of its time, and it's definitely a product of not having, like, female voices on the creative team, like, as strongly. I haven't looked, but I doubt like it's not a thing that really occurs, especially back then. But still, we have these really powerful women that were steering and piloting this show for the majority of it. Like, we're in even with Shinji being like our protagonist, like, he was lost all the time, and they were really the ones holding it together. And, you know, unfortunately, the ending, both of them were kind of like they ripped the rug under of the growth that was happening with those characters. But I think it's worth, you know, mentioning, like, you have like Misato, who is like the guardian figure, who, you know, is promoted to major at some point, and she's like incredibly cunning and creative. Like, she's like figuring out these really interesting, unique ways to battle this issue, and like also has compassion to like take care of Shinji, and is conflicted, and she's can be very human, and still dealing with like her stuff, but kind of putting that on the back burner whenever she can to like deal with what's happening. Then you have like Asuka, who is after my own heart because I am too loud so that no one could hear my emotions. And so I was like, I feel you, girl. Like, we have to have all the attention on us so we're not alone. There cannot be a moment when we're alone with our own thoughts. Everyone look at me. And she's very much like that, very spunky, but she's also like similar to Bulma, right? Is like loud, obnoxious, overwhelming female presence, but also a genius. Like, she's already graduated from college, and in like what do they call it?
the Rebuild movies.
She's a captain.
Yeah.
And for some reason, she has to go back to high school in Japan so she could be in the class where everyone could do it. And it's like she just deals with that. And she deals with the fact that she's like younger than Shinji and that Shinji is still like the chosen child despite her living her whole life as this pilot. Like she has known nothing else. And this is her whole worth. And she works really hard for it. And I really just felt like I really wish she got more than just being over-sexualized and, like, abused by every single person. Like, there's not a single person in her corner. And she knows that, like, including Misato. Like, there are times when Misato knew she was hurting and didn't come and help her. So when she's, like, so often in the fetal position. And then there's Ritsuko, which we will definitely talk about the problems with her. But she's a genius scientist and, you know, is the one who's creating these Avas and creating all, like, the things. Her mother's consciousness is split up into 3 computers that rule everything. They are in charge of the government. It's her mom who has separated them into the woman version of herself, the mom version of herself, and the scientist, right?
Yes.
And they're named after the 3 wise men. So that's another allegory for you, Kat.
Yeah, they're called the Magi supercomputers. And yeah, they're named after the 3 wise men from the Bible.
I was not raised religiously, so it all went over my head. I was just like, I am kind of Jewish, but we did not at any point go to the places where they teach you that stuff. So I was just like, it sounds familiar.
I had to Google that one because I had to be like, why are these names so specific?
It's funny because I know what the wise men bring, but I did not know their names. I was like, frankincense and myrrh, yeah, I got it. Gold, yeah. I was like, what's that guy's name? He was the wise person.
Well, now we got it. We got Caspar, Melchior, and Balthazar.
Yes.
Those
Is that right?
fun names.
Right?
Those are wild. I was like, what are these names? It's like, oh, okay, they're from the Bible. Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah. It's so much from the Bible, too.
Battlestar Galactica. I don't know why. Is he like a character, or is it just similar to Battlestar?
It sounds like Battlestar Galactica.
Balthazar Galactica.
Balthazar Galactica.
There we go. That's why.
Yeah, there's so much like there's a lot of biblical allegory and like just like taking from it, like the fact that like there's Adam and Lilith, which is essentially like how humans and those aliens, the angels, exist, is that, you know, Adam and Lilith were these alien races that were on the brink of extinction. So they took their souls and put them in some kind of vessel, sent them to a different planet, which happens to be Earth. Lilith gets out first, and she makes people in her image. It's like, thanks, Mom. But they can't exist at the same time. Like, their children can't exist at the same time because of evolution. So it's just like, your time is done if I'm now here. And so then because of the second impact, they found Adam. They were touching things they shouldn't, and they caused the second impact, which like awakened him, and he made his angels, which are like, okay, now it's our turn. We have to kill Lilith's children, which are people. And they're like, why are you fighting us this whole time? You're done now. The evolution is us, Argo. You're done. Why you fight? Why you make big robot from the lady?
They try to understand why fight, but that's like the whole thing.
They try to understand why fight. Like even the alien things are trying to understand why fight.
Yeah. In their own way, shooting a beam of light that plays classical music, that's one way to communicate.
That's the fourth, what is it, the third kind. That's what we did.
Oh, yeah.
We had to beep, bloop, bleep, bloop. Like that. You communicate with the sound.
Wait, what was the sound again?
It was like the beep, boop, beep. You know, those the lights. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it, like that's why it's the classical music. He's like, you send these things into space, and we send classical. You send Bach into space. You know, like not the dude, his music. And
shot him out into space. We don't need you anymore, Bach.
Yeah.
Some stuff. Bye.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. But yeah, it's like that's how you communicate. It's to the point where they're like trying to get into you. They abduct Shinji. They're like, tell us what's going on, and we're like, they took the boy. They dissolved him into Tang. How do we get the boy back? He has to want to come back. And I was like, I want it. Yeah, so that's like what pretty much what an angel is. There are other horrific things that happen in this, but I think what's really interesting, like I mentioned before, is the real life influences or like explanations for some of the things that are happening in the show and the films, because this ending of the show is one of the most notorious endings of anime like in history, because it's so controversial and because so many people were like, what is that? Like, what? And Mike did not warn me. He didn't say there's gonna be some weird stuff. Like the last like normal episode happened with Karu, and I was like feeling things, and there was all this stuff, and then all of a sudden I was in an art film, and it was I was like, now there's sketches, and then there's photos, and then I was like, what are we doing? Shinji's just talking, and everyone's like yelling at him, and he's yelling at him, and they're slut shaming Misato, and what's going on? Like, there was so much happening. I was like, okay, so that was one episode, and then the last, I was like, then okay, so we got a little psychology in there, cool. Now we can see what's happening outside, right? Nope, still in his brain, and then it was done, and I didn't tell Kat that either. And Kat like messaged me and was like, "What is happening?"
Yeah, I was like,
did I get the right thing?
Is it the right end? Like, is it over? I don't know. I watched something. Is there another thing? Because I can't read that fast. It went too quick. That's what it just like needed to more obviously separate the segments. And I think I would have followed it a little bit more, but I just remember being like the whole time, just like this, his face, like, why? Okay. No? Okay. I'll ask Gabe later. Like, literally my emotion the whole time.
Yeah, and I mean, because it's so unique, because it does strip away, it does not look like what it used to look like, that people were like, okay, maybe it's because of budget cuts, because there was like a lot of stress and strain happening behind the scenes where they were like finishing episodes while it was happening. They were like just like some of the threads that they found at the end, and were like, let's wiggle this in here. And so it was like a lot of kind of catch up and doing that. So people thought like, oh, they must have run out of funding and now this is what it looked like. But Ano to this day says like, no, that was my intention the whole time, because he was going through a really depressive episode and had a lot of stress on him because of the his company and just this anime and all the pressure from it. And a friend of him of his had given him a book on psychological illness, and he said, this gave me a shock, as if I finally found what I needed to say. And so he was like, all right,
I'm gonna say it.
Yeah, the whole production of it was this was like he had a few shots. I think it was the Studio Gainax, where this is like they had a few attempts to make a show, and they kept getting canceled, or like something happened and it fell through. So this was like his shot. This was his shot to like put his company on the map. Is he going to capture it or just let it slip? But instead of it being one freestyle, it was months of production. And he there's just like a lot of things where it's like it was finished on like a weekly basis, where it was like they got it, like it was done, and then they send it out, but like the next episode isn't finished yet, so they just immediately start working on that. Unlike now, where it's like they have some leeway, or like they have some headway, where most of the season will be finished before it starts airing. And another like contributing factor is just the content of the show. This happened towards the end of the show. It was they had an episode that was very similar to a terrorist attack that happened in Tokyo. I think it was it 19 in the 90s, I guess, 95, where it was the sarin gas attack in the Tokyo subway system. And this was perpetrated by a real life, essentially like a doomsday cult that was trying to bring about the end of the world, that had a lot of mirrors with a lot of in-universe stuff for Evangelion, where they have Nerve and Sele are trying to control the end of the world. So one of the episodes was very similar to the the terrorist attack. So they had to scrap it and just like really rush to get something done. So that just, added to the already insanely stressed out team that was making it. And it's, I think Hideaki Anno does like say that it's pretty close to his vision. It's just like there's a few things that are off, and I do think that he intended it to end in such a like psychological way of just digging deep into one character and their psyche and their perspective, and sort of walking them through the steps to accepting themselves and coming to terms with stuff.
Yeah, because it is a hopeful ending. Like, you have the congratulations and...
Congratulations! 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 Congratulations!
Congratulations!
Congratulations!
Congratulations!
Congratulations! Congratulations!
Congratulations!
Congratulations!
Congratulations!
Congratulations! Thank you all.
And so you can actually watch the show on Netflix, and even on there's a change to that ending where they added Asuka and Misato also saying like I can do this better or something. And that's because it's this idea that everyone is having the same moment that Shinji is having to some degree. Like, there is a point where we see like the Lilith moment where Lilith is showing everyone their ideal person. Which is that in the show or is that in the film?
That's in the End of Evangelion film.
End of Evangelion. Yeah. Well, like, because that's like everyone's kind of seeing their ideal person because they're all kind of involved. But this is like everyone's supposed to be having this meltdown, but they come to the conclusion of this hedgehog dilemma, which is brought up at the beginning of the show, that Shinji is like a hedgehog. He's spiky, so if he gets too close to another hedgehog, he's going to get hurt, but you still want to be around other hedgehogs. Like, you need to. We're social creatures. And it's just kind of this acknowledgement of like, we're all hedgehogs. We're all going to end up hurting each other to some degree, but it's worth it to be near each other. It's worth it to still do it. Like, we're still going to have pain, but there's joy somewhere, and that's definitely like what Misato's always fighting for. And so it's like, it was hopeful, right? But unfortunately, Anno and his team received death threats and like were harassed because of this ending. Like, there were fans who were just angered by how it turned out.
I think they broke into the studio and like graffitied the studio. It was pretty horrible.
God.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I like the show ending better than the movie ending. The movie ending was a lot.
It's like stress, right?
So like they did throw a fit for like no good reason.
Yeah.
In hindsight.
Yeah, well, I found this article called Neon Genesis Evangelion Explained: Ending Differences and Reasons by Varai Kaiser and IGN. And they say that essentially the film End of Evangelion is rumored to be a reaction to the fans. Like, it's kind of like they refer to it as the monkey's paw, where it's like, okay, we're going to give you what you want, but you didn't realize that this isn't what you wanted. Like, what you thought you wanted is actually bad. And so like there's more tropes that are explored. There's more sexualization of the female characters. Shinji, as like just in the show, is is the audience, right? Like, we're supposed to step into Shinji's role. So in the film, Shinji's awful. He's saying like, here you are. Here's a mirror. You're not going to like it, but this is what you are. You're awful Shinji, who is like hurting these characters with your ideals and your selfishness, and like the fact that you don't actually have control of this, and you didn't learn your lesson. And there's even like in the film, they use actual images that they kind of like edit a little bit from the death threats and the emails, like they featured in there. There's also the audience shot of like a theater and there's like a voiceover all the while, because it's like he's literally just like, this is you. This is what you wanted, and look at it, look what you did. And yeah, I think it's like a really stark contrast to see them like, and also to see how the women were featured in it, and like it kind of stripped away some of those things, and also gave me like there's that because end of Evangelion the film with Lilith showing everyone their person, like Shinji sees Kwaru, which is really sweet, but the one like lieutenant or whatever lady saw Ritsuko and was like obviously in love with Ritsuko, and I was like, I didn't even know that was a possibility, like, because they don't give me that option that Ritsuko could be either asexual or gay. Like, it's not even allowed. They gotta stir up a problem that ruined everything about her. I was like, you're telling me that was a thing that could have been happening in the background, you didn't tell me? That's upsetting.
Yeah. It also, like, freaked me out, because I was like, whoa. He did, like, I know he's not your dad, but, like, they were hooking up. Like, what if that's your dad, and then you're also hooking up with... I was just like, this whole situation is gross. I just feel like if your parent touches a human, you shouldn't touch the same human. And that's... Maybe I'm wrong, but it ruined it for me. It really upset me. I was just like, oh...
Yeah,
couldn't he just be like a really bad father figure?
Just that. Could he just be
Just
that?
Just the worst dad.
Just the leader of a murder death cult. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, they had to make it weird.
Yeah, because it's like Ritsuko is like super intelligent, totally has the ability to shut down the apocalypse at the end, and is using, the Magi, and her mom shuts her down. Her robot mom shuts her down for this dude who killed her.
Don't murder
Albeit she did kill a child, but still killed her.
Yes.
After using her body, and she knew the whole time he was just using her. And then it's like, oh, also, Ritsuko was also with Gendo, and I was like, no, she wasn't. Blasphemous.
Straight up. It's like, no, Evangelion, you're wrong. You're wrong. She was not with him.
That's not true. I'm pretty sure. And then, like, he kills her. Like, I was like, that's so awful. Like, he could have just killed her because she was trying to, like, fight. Like, why have we got to bring in that? Gross. That's gross. I don't want to imagine Gendo ever touched anybody, even Shinji's mom. Like, I just want to, somehow he's here, but he had nothing to do with that guy.
Just let him get eaten by the angels and just let it be. Like, let it chill. Just let him die. It's fine. It's the worst dad ever. In the history of animes, I've decided.
Yeah. Besides last week when we said the worst dad is actually the guy from Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh, you're right.
Hohenheim?
The one who made his daughter into a dog. Yeah.
Oh, no, Sho Tucker. That's Sho Tucker.
Okay, yeah. That's the worst dad.
But he's up there.
And then Gendo. And then Gon's dad.
Yeah.
And then okay. Jin.
Just they're like being mean. He's just like, I never want to see you. You have this key, but it's not to see me. I don't care what you're doing.
No, the worst that he ever did was when he was like, if he uses this card because he wants to be proud and show me that he has friends, I don't want to see him. He's man enough to come alone. Like, are you kidding me? Do you know how child trauma works? You jerk.
You named him what you would be doing, which is gone.
Because he's gone.
Yeah. Rude. Yeah.
Anime, man. Why they gotta be doing this with the dads? Arguably, the moms usually suck too, but
they're usually dead. Or they're not here. Except for Greenie / Midoriya's mom. She's a great mom.
She's the best mom.
She made his little costume.
Yeah, no, she is best mom. That's true.
Yeah.
She's like, I want my mighty man.
Is that what I got here?
Yeah.
My mighty man.
My mighty man.
Oh, mighty man.
Oh, who's my big fight guy? You want to do big punch? Best mom. There's some good moms in Dragon Ball Z too, it seems, except for Bulma, who brings a baby in his spaceship.
She's good mom later. She's bad mom while she's young.
Yeah.
But she gets better.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess not. She sent her son back in time, like made it his problem to fix everything. But I don't know. She's also real smart. But like, I don't know. She's not the worst.
Any last thoughts about Evangelion, like how we feel?
Did we want to talk about the rebuild movies at all?
Well, probably not too much. Kat hasn't seen them.
Oh, right.
But I mean, I like that's like an even further reach of like fan service, like is highly increased
so much.
And it kind of blurs that line between like we're doing this intentionally to hurt you, like, and just contributing to the problem. Like, you know, like we just kind of cross that at some, because some of it's funny, like the recreating certain shots, like the shot where Shinji like opens the door for the bathroom and Pen is in front of where his
and then
and then
there's a
cup.
beer can, and then they lift it up, and then there's a container of toothpicks.
Yeah, and then they do the same thing with Asuka, where she's also like Pen, and like they do the thing, but they're covering her boobs.
There's like a straw that goes right across her boobs.
Yeah, and so it was like that's funny because they're like purposely, you know, poking fun at that, but then you get to like number 2 and they put Asuka in that ridiculous costume, and even though she's like, what kind of pervert made this suit, like she's still wearing it and you see her entire crack. You see there's nothing, it's like she's wearing like thigh-high stockings and like that one weird shirt I have that's just the top half of a shirt. That's it. That's
it's like their pants come up to halfway up her butt and then the butt's above it. It's awful. It's
great, and she's still 14. And then the decision in the third one that her body stays 14 forever. I was like, that's gross. And I would say what really angered me about the third one is that it's clear like Shinji's out of the picture at the beginning, like because of what he did in the second one, and there's like you get a glimpse for a minute into the fact that the women have been ruling this, like they have been like holding society together and fighting back against the man. Gendo's still doing weird stuff in his shadow organization somehow, but like Misato, like Asuka, like they're still kicking butt, taking names and doing it, but we don't even get to see that. We just move 14 years into the future or whatever, and Shinji's back and he ruins everything again because it's sad. And I'm like, I don't need that. I wanted to know what they were doing. And I do really want to see the fourth one.
He's even worse in the movies than he is in the, even in End of Evangelion. In the movie, he's like, we need to get these 2 spears. It's like, oh, these ones? He's like, no, not those ones. Are you sure it's not these ones? Not those ones. Oh, I'm pulling out these ones.
Kara's like, listen, dude, I am having a whole moment. I thought you loved me. I'm trying to confide in you right now. Like, that is not that, like, we cannot be doing that. And he's like, we can't be doing this. Is this what
can't be doing, what? I'm pulling out these spears. Are you sure it's... Wait a minute! I pulled out these spears and it's not working. It's like, yeah, no, Shinji, it's what we said.
It's like he's like, okay, but at the beginning you said these were the spears. He's like, that is true. I did say that at the beginning, but now that I have more information, I have arrived to a new conclusion. He's like, they're already out. What do you want?
They're out. I don't know what you're talking about, man. I can't stop.
Growth? What is growth? I'm not capable.
Zero.
Of achieving growth.
Destitute world where everyone he's ever loved is dead, and it's his fault. And he's like, but it's not my fault because they made me do it. And I'm gonna do it again. And this time it is my fault. But Asuka's still gonna come back and get me? Like, no, just let him die. Everyone just let him die. I don't understand. That Shinji. Like, Shinji from the show, he was actually fine. Like, he was a fine kid. He was genuine, and he had moments where he did, like, feel things, and he was being, like, you know, a tool for everybody else, and that was that. End of Evangelion, gross Shinji, and then this one he's just like sad, woe is me, the world sucks, and it's like, for everyone, not a single person is having a good time.
You have sympathy for the show, and then the rest happens, and you're like, nah, at this point trauma is just a crutch you're leaning on. Like, you have to grow at one point to get better.
And the fourth one is, you know, TBD release date for forever, so
Yep, the final one, the trailer came out pretty recently, and the movie should be released.
That's it.
At some point.
It will
It just should
come out. It will come out at a time.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll be here. Maybe we won't. Who knows? Maybe they'll have rebuilt the rebuilds by then.
Nothing is guaranteed.
Yeah, it's such a weird. I thought it was. There's a lot of really weird. They changed the angels. It's like they took out all the stuff that matters, and they definitely take it for granted that people have already seen the show when they watch the films, because nothing is explained. Like there's no like all the stuff that's like important and like meta and like psychological is like not there. It's just like big monsters fight other big monsters. There's also there's another girl that's like Asuka. We don't know her name. She's there. She's from America maybe. And then
Cool.
like it's like she looks like the one girl, the one character in Overwatch.
Oh,
whatever.
May?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like that, except not as curvy.
No. She's got the face of May.
And like the same like I do fights and it's fun. This is just a game. You know? So May's like, yeah. But it's crazy that this has taken on so many forms and that like, you know, so many people. I appreciate that it's on Netflix now and that people can watch it. I think that's a great thing for people to experience because it's a full experience. It's just like a whole time you're not expecting anything that's happening.
Yeah.
Including that awful kiss in the end of Evangelion that didn't need to be there.
It did not need to be there.
No.
That's
Just
the
as a
biggest
rule
cringe.
As like just general guideline, 29-year-olds should not kiss 14-year-olds on the mouth.
Yeah.
And for
I
like,
remember
a long
after it, I
time.
think I yelled.
Yeah.
I was like, why? And then she dies? Like, I was literally just like, it's that and then
It's like
death?
a new frigid.
That was her last decision? What? Yeah.
And he didn't do anything with it. Like I was
He
like,
just-
maybe it'll light
It
a
just
spark
happened to
in her. Like,
happen.
He just
so
was
gross.
fetal position on the other side of the door.
yeah, now he's just sat over there. Yeah.
Now he has
and
this
then-
trauma of like this older woman assaulting him. Yeah, okay, they're friends. That doesn't mean we kiss children now.
I'm just saying these animated movies need to stop trying to like make these an okay relationships. Like Garden of Words, I still have problems with you. Okay?
Yeah,
I
no.
still have you cannot make that what happens at the end. That cannot be the resolution that we came across was that they were in love. That's
Yeah.
gross. That's
Big
gross.
yikes.
Very big yikes. And that's what this was. I was like, are you kidding me? Is this really happening? I just remember being like, Mike, why? What is this? And you were just like, I'm sorry.
Just keep watching.
It's not going to make any sense, but keep going. Yeah, it's like that.
It doesn't get better,
film
it's
is
just-
so gross.
Yeah.
But hearing like him, like the fact that he was just like, this is to all the fans who are gross, because I mean, they're misogynistic and there's really strong like incel culture wrapped up in the anime community too. And he very much was like, I see you. This is what you look like. Look how stupid you look. You're like a fool. Look at this, idiot. Never like you're gross. You're gross. You're over there jacking off on this girl who's dying. That's you. You're that. And people being like, you right.
Oh.
You're right. Yeah. That's which I appreciate. I appreciate that. Just like I mean that it could be commentary if you are to look for it. But just coming in dry. Not knowing that it's commentary, you're like, what happened here? This isn't what it was. I will say though, in the end of Evangelion, when Asuka's like kicking butt all by herself and she takes on all those like units, I was like, this is cool. Because this is like shows that like because Asuka has always been the stronger of the three Avas, like because she's the one who's in sync, knows what it is, and like does it. Like she never hesitates. She's like, I'm doing it. Like Rey is just kind of like, okay. and Shinji's like, okay. And Asuka's like, yeah. So I was like, why do you gotta bring this May girl into it? But when she's kicking butt until she's not, like it was like,
It was
I was
cool.
like, that's really cool. And like seeing her like because it's like in the rebuilds when you're introduced to Asuka, she's like coming down. She's like on this like we see her like really early and she's just coming down from the sky fighting an angel. And he's like, wow, so that's how you're supposed to do it. So that's how the robots work. All right. Yeah. And like she always had that confidence, like, let me show you. And it's also the scene where he's in the show when he's in her Zero suit.
When he's
suit.
wearing her plug suit.
And it's like the girl, and he's just like,
Yeah.
I don't know about this. I was like, that's great. I love that. And we lose that because he becomes awful Shinji later. Well, thank you, Mike.
Yeah, of course.
Joining us.
This is fun.
Yeah.
Coming on, getting that attributed for your name and your words.
Finally, yeah.
I'm sure we'll
About
hear
time
more
I got the
from you.
recognition I deserve.
Yeah, okay. Calm down. Calm down there.
Okay.
Not kidding. Yeah, I'm sure we'll see you on the show again. You are, a fan of many things and knowledgeable and lots of nerddom, including, RPGs and also Godzilla's. What are they called?
There.
Is it?
Took me a second.
But you know what
Just
I'm talking about. What are they
nerds.
called? What's the...
Oh, kaiju?
That's it. Thank you. I was going to say kaiju, and I was like, I know it's not right. It's like a mom where you get just a little bit wrong. Yeah, so we'll definitely hear that, smooth radio voice again. I mean, I will, but other people will as well. Yeah, I love that guy. But thank you for sharing your thoughts and your experiences and your knowledge, too. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I am very thankful for you making us watch this, because I don't know if I ever would have.
Yeah, I'm glad.
that's true.
I'm happy to share this show with as many people as possible. Because it does have something to say. It's not perfect by any stretch. It has its problems, but I think the things it does well, it does very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Nice.
Cool.
Well, that being said, don't get married. Delete your kids. Or
robots.
put them in robots in your mom juice.
Ooh, why did you say
That
that?
was gross. That was gross. I take it back.
I would be
Take it
so
back.
mad if after my
If
death
you
they were
got
like, put my
fridged.
child in a giant robot made of me to fight
Or before your
war.
death, which is Asuka's mom. That's why she's like, in the sanitarium, because she's snaps, because part of her soul is inside a robot. Don't do that. Don't fridge me like that. Like,
Yeah.
it's rude.
hard
I don't
pass.
want to be a part of
Just let
someone
me be
else's
gone.
growth.
Let the boys wonder
My
where
own
I
growth.
was. It's fine. It's done now.
Yeah. All right. Well, all right. Well, remember to like and subscribe. Next week, we're going to be joined by another special guest from the Beyond the Bot anime show. Anime streaming channel on YouTube, and also as a podcast, and also all kinds of things. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be talking about ladies in anime and some really cool stuff. And then, Kat and I will be geeking out about anime too.
Yeah.
So hit that subscribe button.
Do it.
You probably already did. All right. Well, bye.
Bye.